on the air. There we go. Hey, what's up, Hacksters? Welcome to Friday. I am really excited to dig into some things this weekend, and to that end, I want to walk you through what I brought so that I can do that and not worry about messing up this video for later. So, what do you bring with you when you might be stuck inside for a few weeks, a few months, who knows? I'm sheltering in place in a place that is not my office or my house, and so I had to pack, basically, I decided to limit myself to pretty much one hiking backpack full of stuff. And to that end, I brought a couple of lunch boxes full of things. If you've been to the Teardown conference last year, you might recognize this one. I think it's awesome, and they seem like the perfect thing to pack a bunch of electronics in, except for the conductivity part. If they're plugged in, I wouldn't put them in metal. And so in the first one, well, actually, let's do the boring one first. It's not really boring, but it's what I consider the essentials. Besides my soldering iron kit, which includes power supply and a TS100 soldering iron. I like the TS80. Wait, is this the TS80 or the TS100? One of them has USB-C power. The other one runs off of this huge adapter. I think that the USB-C one would be a little bit nicer, but they're both pretty great. I love this soldering iron. I use it all the time when I'm traveling, and TSA hasn't taken away from me yet. I also have a thing full of lead-free solder and a little bit of hookup wire in here. So along with that, what I usually pack inside of here is a pair of nail clippers. One time when I was traveling, I realized that you can actually use these really nicely as wire strippers. Like, look, it's tough. You can clip through the whole wire if you want, or you can just like very precisely grab the tip of the wire and pull the plastic sheathing off. So convenient. So I recommend having one of these. Plus, like, TSA lets you keep them, and it's less suspicious somehow than having an entire, like, it's also lighter than a pair of actual wire strippers. So that's my sort of on-the-go soldering kit. I threw in an M3D Micro 3D printer, which I've had in my room for ages. I never really used because it's quite slow and pretty small, but I figured that it's a good one for portability. Besides that, we have this Teardown lunchbox. Oh, wait, this is the one. So we're still on the basics. And I decided to bring a bunch of cables that I can use to plug different things in. So besides these, I also had a regular USB-A to micro USB one, and a USB-C to micro USB for programming things, because my computer has those ports for some absurd reason. Some copper tape. That I can use for various things. I don't know why it says PX Hero and connectors on there. Put that on my other lunchbox. Some breadboards. I want to play around a lot with music tech while I'm under quarantine. So I want to, or in the lockdown, I'm not personally under quarantine. So I brought things that I might use to turn these into like little jam boxes. Not, well, jammable music boxes, let's put it that way. I don't want to copyright infringe on my friend Moldover. A bunch of hookup wire. Some little screwdrivers, because I want to play around with servos. These are great. Like, this is a very generic type of screwdriver that has Phillips on one end and flathead on the other. And then this is a smaller version of that, basically, that's in a little pen shape size thing. I've got some heat shrink tubing. All you need is a lighter to make that go. Some little ribbon cable that makes it easy. I've got some transistors. Oh, this should be in the other bag, actually. We've got a bunch of power stuff, so some 9-volt battery connectors, a couple of LiPos, some little JST connectors for hooking those up, and a little 5-volt thing from, it just says Open Hardware on it. Oh, no, it says vdbx.io. It's a little micro USB based 5-volt power source, which I think can be really useful for various projects. Some little perf board pieces from Adafruit and SparkFun. Proto board, and some little, I think these are 10 kilo ohm resistors, a whole packet of those. And then I also have this electronics fun kit that I got ages ago from Elegoo that just has a bunch of random headers and power supply things and some buttons and FETs and hookup wire and ribbon cable and whatever. And that just fits beautifully into the lunchbox. So that's all that's in this one. Hey, go in there. I said beautifully. Okay, yeah, it is beautiful, right? Oh. And then you can just pack it all back in. Beautiful. So then my other box is full of a bunch of microcontrollers and things, which is very exciting for me. A lot of these are ones that I've had for a while but never been able to get around to. So let's pack this boy back up again. There we go. So compact. Oh, I forgot the cables. Oh well. Those will go in later. Okay, so then this other one, I challenge you to name all of the hackerspaces featured on this lunchbox. The person who names the most accurately, I guess hackerspaces in organizations, will get a prize of some type. A lot of them say their actual names on here, so it shouldn't be too hard, but there's a lot of them. Anyway, some of these are actually defunct by now, which is interesting. So in this one, we have more of my favorites. First up, the pieces for 3PO, a telepresence robot that runs on the Raspberry Pi. I'll put the link to that in the description to this video. I'm looking to finally get him up and running. He's been used on Remo.tv, a telepresence platform, before. I also created an NFC security system so that he would broadcast or stop broadcasting when you tagged NFC tags on the Matrix creator board here. It's usually mounted like this. It's just that in order to pack it down, I had to undo that. My goal with 3PO for this lockdown is to A, have him be able to stream things to telepresence, but also B, be able to control the 3D printer using Octoprint. And Adafruit has a really great guide for setting up Octoprint on a Raspberry Pi for M3D. I've got some little Arduino Nano 33 BLE Sense boards, which I think could be fun to play with, especially when it comes to building more things, for example, for not touching your face or for washing your hands, which hopefully we're all getting good at by now, but you know, we could always use a little help, me especially. A little speaker for 3PO. This just has a USB connector for a Raspberry Pi. It's the one recommended by Remo.tv, Jillian Ogle. Let's see, we have an Adafruit Circuit Playground Express with a little connector on it for a NeoPixel strip, and in fact I have this NeoPixel ring that has 24 RGB LEDs on it, as well as what I was controlling it with before, which is this little DigiSpark USB programmable AT-Tiny device, which I love. I had a little button on here so that I could toggle stuff, but it hasn't been working lately, so I'm going to replace it with the Circuit Playground Express. Maybe I'll use that to make a more consistent light source. Right now I'm just using sunlight, so you know, I have no complaints. I love sunlight. But yeah, this is the M5 Stick C, given to me by my friend Mohib, who is an occasional guest on the show. It is a little microcontroller that you can use to make wearables, or any other small device. And it's got a little seed grove connector and a bunch of other cool attributes. I did an unboxing and feature on this in the past, which I'll also link in the description to this video. Delving further into the lunchbox, we have an ArduBoy. So this is both a platform for creating your own Arduino-based Game Boy games, and it's adorable. I love it. It comes with some already on there, actually, and you can easily reprogram it with some of the examples that are on GitHub. But I thought it could be cool to make like a little Tamagotchi, like for self-care, like pretend that I'm the Tamagotchi and I need to do things like drink water and get good sleep and take a nap. Just like anytime if I'm feeling down, there's a certain number of things that I know I can do to help me feel better and, you know, make sure that I've eaten in the last 10 hours, things like that, you know, look out a window, take a break, talk to a friend, things like that. I've got some little audio breakouts. We're getting into the audio stuff, yes! Ooh, before we do though, 3 more devices. We've got a particle photon with the internet button. I think this could be a really great tool for building around the house type things for roommates to use. Yesterday I already published a hand washing timer that I put in the bathroom that when triggered touchlessly by a loud noise gives you a little 20-second hand washing countdown and then a little rainbow colored reward. This could be a way to like coordinate people's presence in different rooms. For example, I have to wait for this room to be empty and quiet before I can broadcast, but you know, just to make it easier for everyone. And these things are really handy. They can actually talk to if this then that, which I love because it makes it really easy to integrate with a bunch of different services. An Adafruit Feather, huzzah! The ESP8266 powered Wi-Fi board. Is this the Hackster? No, it's not the Hackster edition. But I've got a little LiPo battery that fits inside between it and the Feather wing. That's an LED matrix, 8x4. Let's see, can we plug this? Oh yeah, it's programmed to do some rainbows. Love it. It's really hard to see, but I promise you it's like scrolling a real. Whoa, boy. Anyway. And then I have, in a FOMU package, I have a Tomu, which is the first edition, the original, a little tiny, tiny microcontroller that sits inside of your USB ports, and you can program it to be a two-factor auth token. Oh, boy, you can throw it on the table and lose it forever. And there's a version of this that is an FPGA. There's a version of it that is designed for, specifically for security applications and things like that. Now we're getting into the music stuff. So this is a Teensy bag full of things like the Teensy audio kit, Teensy 4 audio kit. So there's a Teensy 4 there. We've got a CR2032 coin cell battery holder for real-time clock that's built in. And you've got little breakouts and on-off buttons and power save mode and whatever, all this good stuff broken out into this kit, which is very beautiful. Thank you, Paul Stoffrigen. And a few older versions of the Teensy as well that I think could be useful in building music applications. Ooh, actually, I might as well do so I cheated a little bit. I actually have a whole extra bag. But this was actually inside of the hiking backpack, so it counts. While we're talking about music stuff, I brought a Bella Mini, which works with the Pocket BeagleBone board, and it's designed for low latency audio. Very cool, and I've never really gotten to play around with it yet. And this is the Kilomux board, which is a shield for the Arduino designed by Yaeltex. I actually got to meet the creator of this, and it was super cool, and I'm finally getting to play around with it. It's for MIDI controllers, and I've put on it the Hi5 1 board because I thought that that would be higher powered and give me like lots of, you know, flexibility to build whatever I want. Going back to the lunchbox, we're nearly done, but I've sort of been bragging about how much stuff I fit in this lunchbox for one. But also, like, you know, it takes a lot to keep you occupied for this long. There's actually another Teensy in here. This is a corded keyboard that I made where, like, you can click the little buttons, and depending on the different pattern of them that you click, it produces a different character on the screen because the Teensy can natively act like a keyboard, mouse, or joystick over USB. And that worked, and I won a challenge with it. Someone dared me that I couldn't get it to write their name by a certain time. Anyway, we've got some little 555 chips, which you can use to generate square waves for chiptunes, and also some little amplifier chips, and a little piece of foam with some 8-pin dip sockets in it for attaching those. We've got a couple of USB sound cards, always useful with Raspberry Pis. A couple of audio modules. So back in the day, like a few months ago, I was trying to make Chirp, a data over audio protocol between robots, work as a communication protocol between companion robots. And unfortunately, Chirp has been acquired by Sonos and is shutting down. But, if you have an account already, you can create stuff now that will continue to live on and work. It's just that you won't be able to, after the certain point, you won't be able to make new stuff. And that makes me sad, but whatever. So I made this one with the Arduino Nano 33 BLE Sense, which can detect chirps and respond based on them, and also can produce them using this amplifier and speaker from Adafruit. And also I was trying to make a little sound trigger module with the Adafruit audio effects soundboard with a little speaker attached. That didn't really go very far. And then I also have the DF Player Mini, which you can use to be toggled by an Arduino, and is featured yesterday actually in one of our projects that I talked about. That is another hand washing device. that plays 20 seconds of your favorite tunes when you when you activate a touchless soap dispenser. Let's see, so those all go back in this bag inside of the box. We've also got some more amplifiers and little speakers. And then I brought a crap ton of actuators. So if you're gonna build music stuff, you wanna be able to control it, right? So we've got biggish, medium-sized red buttons. We've got smaller multicolored buttons. We've got some more tiny switches that I just threw on the floor. Some of the things I'm most excited about are these soft potentiometers. Here's a radial one, or a circular one, and here are a few little short ones that are straight. And basically it's like a potentiometer or a pressure sensor. It detects where along this ring or this strip you're pressing, and that sort of acts like a potentiometer. I've also got a straight up force sensing resistor, aka pressure sensor, if I can get it to show up. Nope. From Palolu. And then a bunch of tiny little buttons. And I've noted on a piece of paper, with these little buttons, sometimes you don't know. So usually one pair of the 4 pins is connected, and one pair, like in one direction they're connected, and in the other direction they're not. So either like the ones across from each other are connected, or the ones next to each other are connected. And then you connect, one from each pair in order to make the button connection happen. And so I've written down which version those are. I've also got a couple of tiny OLED screens because sometimes you need feedback when you're figuring out the settings on your music device. A few nice little toggle switches. Those are very cute. And a little tiny joystick. So that's about it for this lunchbox, and we're nearly done completely. I've got a couple of audio splitters. I think I'll pack this all back in later because I want to get through all of this before you all lose your minds and start watching. So let's just get those out of the way. And then finally, we have a bunch of FPGAs. Like a minute ago I mentioned the Tomu and its sibling the FOMU, the FPGA board that sits inside of your USB port. And I brought a bunch of FPGA stuff. So first up we have this Icebreaker demo, which has a huge pixel LED screen. Oh, can I even get that out of there? This giant square is a high-resolution LED screen, and inside of here is an Icebreaker. Here we go. FPGA kit. Whoop-a-doo. Very cute. And I'm looking forward to finally completing that workshop from ages ago. It's kind of a blessing in disguise. We don't have anything new coming in because normally I'm in the office and there's sometimes new things coming in. And so I get to catch up on everything that I always said that I was going to do and never had time for. I've got the InkPlate 6, which is an e-paper screen controlled by an ESP8266, which you can get on Crowd Supply. I was using it to draw arcane sigils that randomly generate every 20 seconds or 30 seconds or something like that. 20 seconds. Oh, that could be another hand wash timer, but you'd have to be staring at it to see when it changes. I like it though. I've got a Raspberry Pi 4. I've got a little bag of various shapes and sizes of LED lights. So there's some little 8x8 LED matrices in here. We've got a 7-segment display. 7-segment display. These are mostly for the music applications. We've got a little NeoPixel Jewel that has 7 RGB LEDs arranged in a little ring around a central one. A couple of strips of straight up NeoPixels. I think there's 10 in each of those. I actually have some surface mount LEDs, a couple of big rolls of them, just in case I end up getting some PCBs produced by Oshpark, who the last time I checked were actually still active, amazingly. Some little individual RGB ones that I think I got from Mohib as well. Here's a tiny little LED matrix. Did I show you that? Then I have a keyboard and mouse, very important for messing around with Raspberry Pis, of which I intend to do a lot. We've got this, which originally contained Blink hardware, then it contained the Stereo Pi, and now it contains a bunch more FPGAs. So we've got the Maker Vidor 4000, I think, from Arduino, which can do video processing on an Arduino. Isn't that ridiculous? We've got the Snickerdoodle from Critical. We just did a freebie Friday with Xilinx, giving away a bunch of these. Super high powered, has a Xilinx Zinc FPGA chip on it. The FOMO is in here. Yes! That's the FPGA version of the Tomo I just showed you. You can tell because it's blue instead of green. Also, I think it says FOMO on it. This is the tiny FPGA BX. It looks like a Teensy. I think they're even pin compatible, but this one's an FPGA. And this is the Hackaday SuperCon badge from last year, which, oh, let me turn it on. Ah! How do I do that? Is it at the top? No. Ah, it's on the side. Which is a whole little FPGA system that kind of works like a Game Boy and you can do cool stuff with. SuperCon! That was a great time, and I know that people have published a bunch of hacks for it. There was a badge hacking contest. That's it for FPGAs, I think. This is a video cable for the Maker Vidor 4000. Oh, it won't fit. I'm not gonna squish that. And I think that's about it, honestly. Ooh, I brought a BoldPort soldering kit. If you go to boldport.com, it is a bunch of, oh, let's not show. Anyway, BoldPort is a wonderful project by Sar Drimmer that is art PCBs. And so you can, it's basically soldering art. And I have a bunch of backlog in those as well because he had a club for a while where you could get a monthly one. And then finally just a box with some servo hardware because, yeah, I'm going to be working on 3PO and I want him to have little attachments for his little servo claws there. I'm very excited to assemble that this afternoon. All right, show us what's in your quarantine box. What's in your lunchboxes? What stickers are on your lunchboxes? I'm really curious to see what everyone else is like repping on their Maker containers. I hope that you have plenty to occupy yourself. If not, stay tuned and you can see what we're occupying ourselves with. Hopefully a bunch of cool music stuff because I've been wanting to spend some serious time on that forever and a half. And some stuff with the ArduBoy because this just seems like such a cool, fun platform that I've never really gotten to explore. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome weekend and hack on.